Let's bring in our red and blue political panel. Alex Conant is a CBSN political contributor and partner at Firehouse Strategies. He's in our Washington bureau. And in Chicago, Hari Sevugan, a principal at 270 Strategies. Gentlemen, welcome to you both.
Thank you. Hi, Elaine.
Alex, I want to start with you. Soon after Jeff Sessions said that he'd recuse himself from Russia investigations, the White House came out, announced there'd been this meeting between two aides and Russia's ambassador during the transition. How do you interpret that move from the White House?
I think that they are trying to do what they've been unable to do so far, which is get ahead of this Russia story at any point. We continue to learn about these events, these meetings, these conversations from the media instead of from the administration. In fact, there were reports that last night the Trump administration, the Trump White House, found out about these meetings between Sessions and the Russian ambassador from the media reports themselves rather than from Sessions himself. So I think that now they are doing what they should have been doing from day one of the administration, which is trying to get all the facts out on their terms. That's why I assume that they are reporting those meetings now.
And Hari, in the president's statement, he said that Democrats are trying to, quote unquote, save face after losing in the presidential race. That's the same message the president's given for months. How sustainable a rebuttal do you think that is to these questions of possible contact with Russia?
Well, these are very serious questions. I don't think they have anything to do with politics. They have to do with the integrity of our electoral system, our democracy, and our national security. So I don't think that they're sustainable. What I found interesting about the White House trying to get out ahead of this and sharing that information is that's really the question that Al Franken posed to Jeff Sessions. Senator Franken didn't ask him if he had contact with Russians. Attorney General Sessions volunteered that himself. The question was, would he prosecute or would he investigate folks who, on the Trump campaign, who had that contact? And the White House went out and volunteered that today.
Let me ask you, Alex, last administration official who lied about his contact with Russian officials, Michael Flynn, ultimately resigned. What is the difference? Are there differences between his case and the current one that you see?
Well, I think there's some obvious differences. First and foremost being that Michael Flynn apparently lied intentionally to the vice president, Michael Pence, about the content of those conversations, whereas it appears that Jeff Sessions either forgot to mention the meetings or didn't think that they were relevant to the specific question that Senator Franken was asking. Either way, most legal experts don't think that he actually perjured himself in those hearings, although I'm sure there will be a lot of second guessing on the partisan side. But to Hari's point, I mean, this is crisis comms 101, and I agree with Hari here, which is that if they want to get control of the situation, you got to get in front of the situation. And so if Senator Sessions had answered the entire truth and been fully transparent in his hearing, we would not be talking about this today. If he had said at the hearing, yeah, by the way, I met with the Russian ambassador once last year, not a big deal, we didn't talk about the campaign, nobody would be talking about it now. This is an issue because we learned about it from the Washington Post, and it put the Trump administration in full crisis mode. I think they're trying to get ahead of it now, but to date, this has been the story of this story, which is the White House cannot get ahead of anything.
So, Alex, to follow up on your point there, what do you think is the reason behind the difficulty with the clarity off the top? You know, why not at the moment when they were asked? I mean, we know what we have heard from officials is that it was at the end of a very long day of testimony, and so that certainly might have been a factor, just sheer fatigue. But in terms of this very serious question, why not, you think, some more specific outlining, the way that we heard Jeff Sessions talk about it on this day?
Yeah, I mean, it's pure speculation, and I think it's going to be the target of the ongoing investigations as to why hasn't not just Senator Sessions or Attorney General Sessions, but the administration as a whole been more forthright about these contacts over the last couple of months. I think that is the very subject of the investigation, not just that the FBI and the Justice Department is doing, but the Senate and the House is doing. And I think it's really important that everyone involved not jump to conclusions. Let's let the process play out a little bit before we start assigning guilt to people.
I want to ask both of you this question here about the revised travel ban for 7 Muslim-majority countries. The White House said that it would come by the middle of this week, but the president didn't mention any revised revised plan in his speech Tuesday night, and the White House won't give a new timetable. So, Hari, let me start with you. How do you think we should understand that?
Well, I think there's some fundamental legal issues with the ban that a revision of the language won't address. They're relying on a law that says that the president has authority to ban certain immigrants. However, that law also says you can't discriminate based on nationality, and that's what the president was attempting to do in order to sort of cover up the notion that this was basically a ban on a faith. So there's actual fundamental legal problems on the law that they're relying on, and I think that's why we haven't seen any forward progress on the new version of this ban.
What do you think about that, Alex?
Yeah, I think Hari has some relevant points on the legal issues. I also think that there's some serious policy issues to this ban. Last week we saw a report from DHS that officials there don't think that banning immigrants from these 7 countries will make us any safer. And in fact, there were reports today that they've actually taken Iraq off the list because it would make us it would hurt our efforts to defeat ISIS in Iraq by banning allies in Iraq from visiting the United States. So I think that there are, in addition to the legal issues that have already been litigated in court, and I've no doubt will continue to be litigated in court once they issue a new executive order, we also have some serious policy issues that the administration needs to have airtight before they roll us out, or it'll be another political and public relations disaster like we saw with the first executive order. So legal challenges, policy challenges, and then public relations challenges. I think it's good that they're taking their time to get this right before they roll it out.
Finally, on another topic, this is a headline from the Indianapolis Star. Pence used personal email for state business and was hacked. Now, the paper is reporting that then Governor Pence used a private server to conduct public business and also exchanged messages containing Homeland Security issues. Of course, he was highly critical of Hillary Clinton's use of a private email server when she was Secretary of State. What do you both make of this? Alex, I'll start with you.
Well, again, that's what I've been saying. I mean, this is Crisis Communications 101. We should not be learning about this from the Indianapolis Star. We should be learning about this from the Trump administration. They should be announcing it on their own timelines. And with the proper context, they've subsequently put out a statement saying that this was apparently normal for governors prior to Mike Pence in Indiana, and no big deal. But as you say, the initial optics of this are bad, and I guarantee you it's going to lead a lot of newscasts tomorrow and take up a lot of Sean Spicer's day.
Hari, what do you think?
Well, look, Alex and I have agreed a lot tonight, which is probably
I know what's happening.
a hopeful sign for American democracy. But yeah, no, I agree. I mean, listen, if the Trump administration and the campaign, including now Attorney General Sessions, had attacked Secretary Clinton for the same thing, saying that made her unfit to be president, and raised questions about national security. I think those same questions are now. It's fair to raise those same questions about Vice President Pence's use of this server, as well as all these other questions around national security, including various administration officials' ties with Russia.
All right, Alex Conant and Hari Sevugan, gentlemen, thank you for a very
civilized
conversation.
We try. Thanks.